Hey there, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for clicking on the video. If you're new here, I hope you consider subscribing and liking and commenting and all the fun things. My name is Leslie, and today I want to talk about 90 Day Fiancé the Other Way, Season 5, Episode 11, Breaking Bad. So I feel like, not a whole lot happened. Well, not a whole lot happened with like everybody, and they seem to like focus on this new couple the most. And I don't really like them. But we're not going to talk about them yet. I'm going to go ahead and start off with Holly and Wayne. Holly, Wayne, and her mom are in the car. Mom doesn't know where they're going. So Wayne gives her like a clue and starts making like monkey noises and like whoo hoo, ha ha, whatever. Um, and she's like, "Oh, so we're gonna see your family," and it's really funny. Everybody laughs, and she's like, "No, I'm just kidding," but I think he knew that. And it looks like Holly's mom and Wayne have a somewhat good relationship at this point. Like, we haven't really seen her much. And, like, what we've seen of them is just their little arguments. So, I just picture the mom sitting at home hanging out in the no electricity. Holly tells us that the past couple days haven't been easy. It's been very stressful because she's finding out Wayne's financial situation. Something that she probably could have asked about beforehand, but, no one ever does. She thinks that, like, him taking her and her mom out is his way of doing something nice for them. And then they pull up to the gate and it says, "Enter at your own risk." They're like, "Oh no." And then Holly says it looks like Narnia. And I'm like, have you ever seen Narnia? Because this is not Narnia. Like, when I think of Narnia, I think of like a giant forest and like snow and trees and magic and things like that. I don't really think it's in like a safari setting. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm a pretty good judge of what's nerdy, things like that. I'm very into Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and things like that, and that just wasn't reading Narnia to me. Maybe it was to her and other people. She appreciates him doing this, but like the day before her wedding just isn't a good time. And she's just stressed out. She has a lot to do. They arrive and Wayne's sister is there, and she's joining them for the safari ride. He wants to show Jane, Holly's mom, like the beauty of South Africa, because right now she's just thinking of like the crime and the load shedding. But it really is a beautiful place if given a chance. And he tells his sister, like, him and Molly, Holly's mom, get along and love each other to a point. And the mom's like, "He doesn't want me staying with them on their wedding night. I can't imagine why." She's very sarcastic. And then the safari guy's sick of hearing this crap. So he's like, "Are we ready?" And they take off. They see some zebras and some sleeping lions. And meanwhile, Holly's telling us that she has a good relationship with Wayne's sister, Rose, that they even talked when Holly was in the U.S. about things, that were important to her for the wedding. So she wants to talk to her because there's still a lot of things on her end that she needs to get done. And the sister is her support system there in Africa and her only friend. Rose tells us that her and Wayne are really close and she's excited for them to get married. She can tell the difference between Holly and Wayne and his like exes. And at this point they go aside to have a little chat. And the sister's asking, like, what does Holly still need to get done for the wedding? What can she do? She's like, "Man, I need to check the flowers. I haven't seen the bouquets. We need to get the cake." And the sister's like, "Well, is your dress ready?" And she's like, "No, not at all." She's like, "Well, now that's a problem." Holly tells us they're having a small wedding with about 15 people. And they're getting like a package deal with the venue, but they still have some things that they have to do on their own. And she's just getting more stressed. And the sister's like, it'll be fine. You guys will live happily ever after. And I'm going to get a brand new sister. And, she couldn't ask for a better one. And the sister says, when you get married, the people closest to you are supposed to be there. So it's probably hard for Holly just having her mom. So they feel they have to go out of their way to make it extra special for her. And I think that's great because it means like they care and they're not being selfish and they're not just worried about like, what do we want? What's our customs? What do we need? And that kind of thing. So that was that. It was pretty boring. They didn't even show a whole lot of exciting things on the safari. That was that. I guess next week they'll be getting married. Next up, Brandon and Mary. Mary's in the bathroom. He's asking her how it's going in there. She says she's almost done. And meanwhile, he starts telling us he's been there for about 3.5 months. So far, he's enjoying his time there. And for the past couple months, the grandfather has been in Manila working, and that's a whole different island. I wonder why the grandpa had to go to Manila and work. Probably because Brandon didn't have money. So grandpa's been gone. They've been able to have their privacy. She comes out. She's taken 2 pregnancy tests. Both are positive. And she said she found out she's pregnant and it's a blessing and she's happy. And, she's excited because Brandon's definitely not leaving her now. No, she didn't say that, but she was thinking it. Also, I'm a little surprised that it took 3 months. And also, what happened to the no sex before marriage, and the I'm so religious stuff? So she asks how he's feeling, and he doesn't know. He can't believe it. He's a little in shock. And she's like, well, aren't you happy? He says he's happy, but he needs to process. And she's like, well, it happened. The baby's here. It's in my tummy. So, suck it up. Be happy. Then she answers my question. She tells us she knows she wanted to wait till marriage to have sex, but she changed her mind because her grandpa was gone and she felt more confident. And she's just a little rebel type rule breaker girl, which is fine. It's her body and her choice, but it's kind of funny. The grandpa had to leave to work to support all of them, and she does like the one thing that would devastate him. So she says, Brandon, he's there, she loves him, and she's just ready to give her all to him. And they're humans. Also, she decided she had baby fever. She really wanted a baby. And we find out that they were actually trying. And he says he knows they were trying, but it's different to be trying compared to it actually happening. Like, he thought it would take longer. I'm thinking, you guys are young and at the peak of your fertility. Like, you just have to look at each other from across the room and she'll get pregnant. So, I don't know what you thought. Brandon definitely skipped health class. But he says, he already knew they were going to get married and have kids. And he had been waiting 2 years to be intimate with her. So, when she made the choice to let him do it, he was fully on board. And she told him she really wants a baby. So he thought trying to make a baby, he didn't say making one, he said trying to make one, will help them be a better couple. Now she's pregnant and just things are more complicated. Like, yeah, you can't support yourself and a baby making bracelets. So you're going to have to figure it out. But he's excited and nervous and anxious, and she is too, because her grandpa always said no babies or sex before marriage. Not that she ever respected what her grandpa said anyway, only when he's right there. But she doesn't know what to do when he finds out. She knows that they'll get married. And he says, they are getting married, but he worries about their future. And then she runs off to throw up. He says that he felt confident and ready to have a baby, but now it's happening, and he's wondering where that confidence came from. And he hopes they can handle all of this. I'm sure they can. I kind of knew this was happening. I saw spoilers about it, like right when the season started. And, there was also pictures of their wedding that his mom had posted. So this wasn't a surprise to me. But I feel like They definitely weren't in the ideal place or situation to be getting pregnant. They could have gotten married pretty quickly and everyone would have been happy. And, all we can hope for is we get to see them tell the grandpa, because that's all I care to see anymore for the rest of them. I just want to see them tell grandpa. All right, let's talk about Danielle and Johan. Another week, and I'm sad that I haven't got to see Johan dressed as Santa and Danielle dressed as an elf yelling at him like I saw in the preview. That's the only thing I'm looking forward to with them. It was so funny. But anyway, Danielle, Johan, their puppy Gizmo, they all get into the car. He's like, why are you bringing the dog to the lawyer's office? She doesn't want to leave the dog alone. And I'm thinking, like, don't most people leave on the TV for their pet if they're worried about that? I don't have animals at the moment, and I've never had a dog, really. I'm a cat person. But I do know people who have dogs, and they just leave the TV on. So, she tells us they're meeting with an immigration lawyer today to talk about visa options. So, Johan can travel with her to New York. She wants him to get the tourist visa because she needs to go back, and she wants to bring him with her. And he asks, like, how does he get a green card? She's like, that's all that's stuck in your head, green card, green card. It's like, well, yeah, that's why he married you. He made that pretty clear when he married you. He's happy to go to the lawyer and start the process so he can travel outside of the Dominican Republic. And he says, if they would have done this sooner, like right away after they got married, he would have his papers all ready. But it's a positive thing and it's good. They arrive to the lawyer's office. They introduce the dog. The lawyer asks her to tell them a little bit about them. Danielle says they were married in November. Now she lives there permanently. But she wants to be able to travel to the U.S. with Johan. And the goal for Danielle is to live in the DR and travel to the U.S. whenever they want. And she says, but his goal is different than hers. But, they can travel and have DR be the home base. He's like, he tells the lawyer, yeah, she wants to live here. And the lawyer's like, well, yeah, the place is wonderful. We have everything. He asks, like, to get a green card, does he have to live there? She says, when you get a green card, it's an immigration visa. So it's like for people to migrate to the place. So they do need to decide what kind of visa they want. If it's an immigrant one or a non-immigrant one. Danielle tells us that right now it makes more sense to apply for the tourist visa because she thinks applying for a green card requires a lot of commitment and trust from both of them. And she doesn't feel they have that. But they have enough commitment and trust to go to the fertility clinic and spend $11,000 to try to have a baby. But you can't trust him to get a green card? Is that because that's all he needs from you? Or you don't want to let go of the control and power that you have over him? I'm pretty sure she just doesn't want him to get the card and then leave her. But she also says he's never been to the United States, so why commit to living somewhere you never visited? Then suddenly the dog pees on her, and it was satisfying. Johan was happy, I was happy, everybody was happy. The dog was relieved. Johan's happy because now Danielle would know that she can't take this dog everywhere. So then the lawyer, tells Johan what she just told Danielle about the, green cards to migrate. And, it's important for them to decide so they have all the paperwork and time for the meetings because it's not just like a single day thing. Danielle already feels like she has the path for this set out in her brain. And she's willing to do the tourist visa, meaning like, I'm doing this for you. I'm like extending this gift to you, a tourist visa, because I can't trust you with the green card. Like, she likes to control, and she knows that. He says, like, he doesn't like the idea. A tourist visa just isn't enough. He says in his country he has nothing, and she doesn't want to help him go to her country and build his life. And he thinks that's selfish of her. And it is, especially when she agreed to that in the beginning. The plan was never for her to move there. She changed it. she did the old bait and switch on him. He wants the kind of visa that a man should have, being married to an American woman. I was like, yikes. Hopefully the next episode they're fighting about this in a Santa suit. That's what I'm waiting for. Next up, let's talk about Shekinah and Sarper. I'm starting to see him a little differently. I'm seeing him as very immature. He hasn't grown up, but he has it's good intentions. He was a plumber all his life, and now he's trying to go repair cars. He just doesn't know what he's doing, and he's clueless. I'm not saying I like him, but I think I like him more than I like her. So we start off with him on his way to get her from the airport. He's feeling great and a little anxious. And, he's just totally surprised and shocked by himself because he gave up his playboy, bad boy lifestyle. He used to get many girls, 2 or 3 a day sometimes, but now everything's changing. And I'm thinking, this man has given up his lifestyle for 5 months. And he's just reminiscing already. It used to be wonderful. 79 days since I had sex. And I'm wondering if that 79 days ago was with her when she went back for a week. But I can't be sure. He tells him, if Sarper from a year ago saw himself now, he would laugh at him and thought it wasn't real. Or it must be black magic, And I'm like, well, never say never. I also feel really weird that we're getting to know this couple right now. I'm getting ready to talk about their airport moment and we're on episode 11. And it feels weird to be talking about Brandon and Mary are pregnant and these people are about to get married. Well, these guys just picked up from the airport. Okay. I think TLC is picking so many couples that just don't work out that we're getting half season people. Which we don't need. Just have less couples. Anyway, him a year ago seeing himself now type of thing is good because that means you're doing growth. Leslie a year ago wouldn't believe where I'm at now. I wouldn't believe I'm sitting here doing this. That's for sure. It was a dream of mine then, but it wasn't to be talking about 90 day and things. I was interested in doing a tarot thing, but this is what I landed on. And the fact that I could do it and not be as self-conscious as I would have been then is great. That's growth, Sarper. It's supposed to happen. It just hasn't happened for you in 20 some years. So Shekinah's landing. She's excited, but she tells us she's aware that she doesn't have everyone's support. But she believes that he's the one and she just wants to start her life with him. Our guy, he shows up, he's got flowers. So that's good. He's the love of my life is coming right now. He says that she has 2 different sides, sex bomb on the outside, soft and gentle on the inside. And she loves to take care of people and she protects what he loves. Then we find out that he's never bought a girl flowers. Or went to the what noise was I just making? I was trying to say or went to the airport to wait for them. And that's what makes all this so special for him. And I think he almost cried because he's like, wow, I can do it. I can buy flowers for a girl. So then she went to the bathroom and changed and freshened up, and now that she feels fresh to death, she's gonna go see her man. She runs out to him and she jumps in his arms, and at first I don't think he knew to pick her up, but he picked it up right away. And they hug and they kiss and it's out of a movie. And then he says that too. He's in some movies they have reuniting scenes with people meeting and hugging in slow-mo. And that's what it's like. That's what the film crew was going for. He says it was charming and unique, and he just doesn't have the English words to describe their reunion. So, she's happy that he bought flowers, and she's like, you never bought flowers for a girl before. And I'm like, this man really had to put no effort into any woman. They just, what? They expected nothing from him. It was like worth the ride, I guess. I don't know. But they're hugging, they're smooching up a storm, happier than ever. She tells him like 347 times how good he looks. And, she's so excited to be there, but she is well aware that this is his first relationship. And since they mostly text, they haven't talked about like real issues. So now she's there and ready to talk about them. And hopefully he is. He's ready to get her to the nearest bed, I am sure. Which happens to be in his place. So later they arrive to Sarper's home. Her new home. She tells him it's really clean. He tells us they got home to his place, but now it's their place. And she tells him it's definitely a bachelor's pad. She's like, well, what if I want to make changes like the art or furniture or something? She also says, she was in the apartment the second time she saw him, but when they met, like, she was so focused on him, she didn't look at his apartment a lot. And now she's looking at it differently because she's living there. Then he shows her his PlayStation room. And that PlayStation controller and the PlayStation and the shelf the TV is on is so crusty. Like, you haven't cleaned this, wiped it, or played with this in ages. She tells him that she doesn't like a guy who plays video games because it's so annoying. And he's like, well, is it better if I go play someone else? And she's like, it's better to play your girlfriend. And she's been there 5 minutes and wants to change everything. And she's like, gaming is fine if you're in your 20s and just moved out of your parents' house. But it's not okay in your 40s. Like, she sounds like a stuck-up, judgy-ass girl that I would have fought in high school. I just can't stand it. And now she's realizing she doesn't know everything about him because now she's discovered he's a closet gamer. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with gaming if it's balanced. Everyone deserves a hobby. I do tarot. I do puzzles. I make YouTube videos for funsies. Everybody needs something. But if it's like you're so obsessed with gaming that you're ignoring your partner completely, that's not okay. But everyone deserves an outlet. In fact, my ex had like a serious gaming addiction. We would fight so much. He would freak out and scream at me, like if he couldn't play like 8 or 9 hours a day. And the reason he couldn't do that was because we have 3 kids, right? So he would get so mad, and even when he had a job where he worked at like 6 in the morning, he would wake up at 3 or 4 to game. He would stay up late after I fell asleep and sneak off to game. Like, he was so obsessed with it. And even I think it's okay if it's healthy. And I mean, like, I had visions of smashing his PS4 with a hammer several times. I would have loved to. In fact, I bought it for him. But the point is that not every person who games is immature or bad or beneath you because they enjoy it. Let people enjoy things that they enjoy. She's just so judgmental. I can't stand it. So he tells her that, they're tired, they should sleep. They go in his room. He has stuff all over the bed and like a middle school girl blanket. I don't know where he got that from. It was not what I was expecting. She like notices his shredded up ass headboard and like she's like, this is still your old bed. She asked him to get a new bed because she didn't want to sleep in a bed that so many other women were in. But he's like, I'm so happy with my bed. And she asked why. He's like, I've slept here 10 years. I sleep well. I wake up well. And I agree. It's time to upgrade. It was pretty rough. I wouldn't want to sleep there. Like, you could even get fabric and re-tack it over the headboard so it doesn't look like that. Like, this is what I'm saying. He had to put no effort into impressing women. Look at his crusty old PlayStation 4 controllers, his, like, ripped up ass headboard, his 12-year-old girl sheets and blankets. But she did let us know that a month before she moved there, He told her he slept with 2,500 women, and she thought it was a typo. She never heard of anyone being with half that many people. And she just hates the mental image of wondering what caused the headboard to look like that. So they need a fresh start and a fresh mattress. And I agree. Even if, like, you're starting a new relationship and you have this old bed that was yours but you shared with your ex, it might be time to change it. Just because. She tells him, it's gross. She doesn't want to sleep in there. And he wants to know what's wrong with it. She says everything. A lot of women have been in that bed and it's rotting. She said, it's rotting. Or whatever. He tells us, he admits that it's 12 years old and has been used a lot. But they're trying to share a life together. She tells him she's going to go sleep on the couch. And, he should have done what she said. And she's like, he clearly doesn't take it seriously when she asks him to do something. And he's going to learn today. And she's like, you can sleep in your gross bed or on the couch with me. But, they're getting a new one. Then she comes out in, her sexiest lingerie with, a sweater to sleep on the couch. And he can't believe she's serious that she wants to change his bed because all the women he slept with. He's like, you want me to change my privates too or whatever? And she's like, no, you need a new bed. She's not going to sleep there until he gets a new one. And then he makes her move over on the couch. She gets her way. He sleeps with her. She says, this isn't how she imagined their first night, but he needs to realize when she says she won't do something, she won't. And you teach people how to treat you, and this is his first lesson. So I do think that is smart because of all his alpha male crap. And she's right. If she would have gave in and slept in the bed, she would have been sleeping in there forever. And that would disgust me too. I couldn't sleep in there. So I don't blame her for that. I really don't see these two working out. I feel like he has good intentions and he's going to try his best. But he needs therapy or a life coach to teach him what relationships are and what they're like. So he has no idea. Okay, it's really sad that this was the only interesting couple of the evening. But last up, let's talk about Kimberly and Tj. She's at a restaurant with her dad and stepmom waiting for him. And they're going to be meeting Tj for the first time. So naturally she's nervous. Plus, all that drama is going on. And they want her to postpone the wedding. But she just knows that he's the love of her life. And she wants to marry him. So she's nervous about this conversation between her parents and Tj. And what's been going on with his family. Tj shows up. They say hi, shake hands, nice to meet yous. They get hugs. He tells us that her parents are cute. And the first thing they did was smile. And he loves people who smile back. I'm sure he doesn't get that much at home or in his relationship. So it must be refreshing to see a happy face. He wants the dinner to go well so that they feel good about Kim marrying him. Tj tells them that, he's feeling good and everyone's so excited about the wedding, which is not true. Everyone knows it's a lie. Kim's looking at him like nobody's excited for this in your family. The mood goes quiet and Papa Bear is like, yeah, so I have some things to bring up. Kim told us about some of the issues with Yash and feeling uneasy about her place in the home. So the dad's concerned for her happiness. And that's because she never, not once, takes accountability for one thing she says. She's so sweet and innocent and gets this nice, sweet voice when she's trying to suck up and get her way. But when she's talking to anybody, she's gangsta. She's Ice Cube and Boys in the Hood. Trying to get her way, He wants to know, can TJ guarantee that she has a place and that they'll all accept her, a place in the family? And he's like, they already accepted her. It's not about that. They're okay with everything except for the argument with Yash. And if they could rub it off, everything will be back to normal. which is an expression I don't know very well. So, like, rub it off, like wipe the slate clean. That's what he means. But he says they are accepting her and they love her. And Kim's like, it doesn't seem like it. And he says it's because right now it's a tense situation. And Papa is like, well, she's feeling uncomfortable. And TJ accepts her concerns. He always sounds like a customer service email. But, you know, he needs to say one thing. That she had an argument with Yash about liberty and individuality. And she's like, no, I never said liberty. Yash said liberty. I never said liberty. She says he was talking about freedom and that she likes that she feels free in the U.S. and when she's there, she feels compressed. Because she has to abide by all these rules and she feels constricted. TJ says that when Kim feels like things aren't working in her favor, she's really blunt. And she says she doesn't want Yash to feel like he can just talk to her any kind of way. And he's like, well, you never had a problem with Yash before. You know, you lived here a whole year. But she wasn't intending on living with him or his family during that year. And he says, you know, when we got engaged, I told you that we would live with my family and that's customary. And she's like, yeah, but it's not what I wanted. And he says he knows, but that's not what he thinks. So she asks if that's, you know, if it's just what he wants in their relationship. He's like, you want things to do, you still want to marry me. And she's like, that's not what I'm asking. She's asking if her opinion will matter. Like, wait till she finds out that she's going to be a traditional wife after marriage. He's like, don't bother with me, I'm taking your side right now. Like, don't get mad at me, I'm on your side. And she's like, I get mad when you tell me not to do something. She's asking questions she feels like he's avoiding. He's like, you know, basically telling her to be respectful of her parents. They're sitting there, they're trying to have a conversation, and she's just fighting with him. And she's like, well, you're not being respectful of me in front of my parents. He's like, just listen to me. And she asks him to drop the attitude. He says he's maturely talking, which is true. She's the one with the attitude. I didn't say liberty. Like, really, just shut up and let the man talk. She's like, well, I asked you a question, you didn't answer. And he's like, yes, ma'am, you are not my teacher. And he tells us she's being rude right now, snapping at him, interrupting. And whatever he says something, she just lashes out. She's like, so no to the answer to the question. The answer's no. And poor Papa, he forgot the question. So she says that her opinions, wants, and needs, like, are they going to matter in this relationship? TJ says yes. And she's like, well, thanks for answering. He says he feels embarrassed about how she's treating him in front of them. Like, they want to see them happy, and they're just sitting there fighting before marriage, and that's going to be warning signs for everyone. Like, he just basically wants to pretend like they don't have problems, and I'm sure it's been that way for him all his life. But now he feels bad. He's worried about their relationship. Later, we see Kim. She's back at the hotel. Her stepmom comes in, and what do you know? Kim's crying again. She asks if she's heard from TJ, and she hasn't. She tells us that last night he met her parents, and she left the meeting, like, mad. She was very angry. And she felt like she was being ignored, and all the things she was wanting were being ignored. So when she got back to the hotel, she sent him a bunch of rage texts, and her and TJ got into an argument. And she tells her stepmom she tried calling him and texting him. And he wouldn't answer, so she started freaking out. They show the text, and she tells him, like, she felt like he made her to be a liar and disregarded her as a participant in the conversation because he wanted to impress her parents. She feels she doesn't matter, and she's tired of it, but obviously he doesn't care. He responded that he was tired and, you know, just wait till the morning. So, you know, that's kind of disregarding her feelings, I think. Like, I would get upset if I was that upset and someone's like, I'm tired, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Like, what, I don't matter to you? Like, okay, my problems don't matter. And then she says, yeah, just wait, just wait, just wait. And then, apparently he couldn't sleep because he sent a long message saying how he can't do this anymore. He needs to cut off his existence in her life. And she's like, I've given up everything. And I've never once wavered in my mind that she wanted to marry him. And, he broke up with her at 2 a.m. The stepmom's like, how do you know he broke up with you? Like, well, he said end his existence in her life, lady. That's the next thing is you're dead to me. So what do you think it means? So she's like, here's the text. But of course she shows him like the bottom two texts, not like her psychotic texting, I'm sure. And TJ said he tried his best. He feel like he failed. She's not happy with him. He's the reason for all her unhappiness and problems. So he's ending his existence in her life, and he loves her and to take care. She tells her he sent that last night when he was angry and frustrated. And the stepmom's like, I don't know if that's a breakup message or not. Because she doesn't know how he communicates. Like, who is this lady? My mom would have been fired up, ready to go over there. Like, how's he going to break up with you 2 days before your wedding? She's like, this lady, well, I don't know if that's a breakup text. I've never communicated with him. It doesn't matter. Be on her side. So, she does tell her to talk to him because she doesn't want to, like, lose him in her life. And, she's like, I want him in my life. I can't imagine my life without him. And that's why she's scared. Because, she thought she was going over there to marry the love of her life. It's like, well, damn, all you've done is cry and fight there. I can see why he feels he's making you miserable. Because you're telling him constantly how miserable you are, how you hate it, how you don't want to live with his family. You don't want to adapt to his customs. You're not willing to talk to his brother, even shake his hand. And then don't even get started on the apartment. So the stepmom tells her to tell TJ how she really feels. She thinks that they both say things they don't mean when they're like mad or tired. She's worried about Kim because Kim's never loved somebody like she loves TJ. And she wouldn't have went there, if she wasn't sure in her heart that he was the one. So now Kim is going to call him. Stepmom takes off. She calls, he answers. She's like, what's going on? I'm confused. Like, did you break up with me last night? He says he feels like, she isn't happy there and she's not going to be happy. And she's like, I won't be happy without you. He tells her she just might be because it sure feels that way. And she is saying she doesn't understand how things got from where they were to where they are. It's like, well, come on now. You got there, you immediately complained about everything he did in the apartment or didn't do. The next day, you're fighting with the brother ever since. All he's done is fight with his family to defend you. And then the second you get him around your family, it's like you wanted everyone to ambush him so he could be like, yeah, you're right. Let's move out of my family's house. Like, all you want is to be right. And TJ just wants peace. He tells us that she was continuously texting him about how disappointed she was with the whole conversation, telling him how bad he is, and that he's just reached his limit. And he looks back at all the problems in her life the last 7 days, and they're because of him. Because of him, like, she has issues with Yash and has to live with his parents. And then he says something I didn't understand about how sometimes she loves him, and sometimes she also wants to do things her way. Like, what the hell does that mean? Because she can love him and, not want to conform to his culture or not do everything exactly how he wants. And she says she should be able to love him and stay true to herself, and she's figuring out how to do that. So he's not upfront with her about his expectations for after marriage, and she's not upfront with him about trying to learn his traditions and conform. Because if she had done that, she wouldn't have wore those jeans. She's just pushing and poking at people. But she tells him that she loves him a lot. She doesn't want to end this. he says, he's just messed up about everything. Anytime he does something bad comes out of it. And I'm like, well, that's because you're playing both sides, TJ. You're placating everyone, and like no one can take you at your word. You tell your parents and your family, she's going to do this, she'll learn, it'll be fine. Kimberly can't understand a damn word you guys are saying. So then you go back to Kimberly. It's okay, they'll learn to accept you, they'll get used to your ways. He's just placating everyone, and that's why he feels this way. He says he's done with this, and she asks if this is it. He says yeah, and he's really sad about it. But we'll have to see if they really break up next time. I don't think they're going to break up. I think they're going to get married. They have everything paid for. That doesn't mean I think they'll stay married for long. But let me know what you guys thought. What you thought of this episode. I thought it was all right. There wasn't much exciting things to talk about, but I enjoyed talking about them with you guys. So don't forget to like and subscribe and take deep breaths and, do something nice for yourself. Take yourself on a coffee date or something, because you might need that. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.